Wake up, South Africa. You've been sleeping far too long. Wake up, South Africa.
Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Today we are joined by a very, very special guest. The first monk I actually met and who introduced me to Krishna consciousness, vegetarianism, meditation, and yoga, and forever changed my life. So today we are joined by Narottama Das, and he will be speaking on today's topic regarding surrender.
Yes, thank you very much, Kosi Prabhu. So we are fortunate, and then it's always good to keep reminding each other, or at least reminding ourselves of our good fortune. Because sometimes it can happen that we forget our fortune as living entities, and to keep reminding ourselves means we have to always be seeking for the association of devotees. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 20, there's a verse, Najayatem riyate vakadashin. For the soul is neither birth nor death. This means any other thing that is not so, there is death and birth. So for the soul is neither birth nor death. So now also there's a very nice verse from the biblical text that says, what good is there for a man to gain the whole world and loses the knowledge of the soul? So this goes to show that really it is very important to keep associating with each other, to remind ourselves all the time of the importance of understanding knowledge of the soul. From the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhumira pona lova yukam mano budire vacha, ahankara ityame binna prakriti astada, aparayam mitastwanyam prakritim vidime param, jiva bhutam mahabahu, yayedam daryate jagat. Krishna says there's water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and falsehood. But above this gross material elephants, there is the soul. And the soul is busy absorbed in exploiting the material resource. So why is the soul exploiting the material resource? This is because the soul can never get the pleasure that the soul is seeking. There's one very popular Vaishnava poet who once wrote a very beautiful poet, and part of it was that the human heart is like a desert. The human heart is always dry. And then material pleasures and material accumulations, they are equal to a small drop. So then this is like to bring our intelligence to understand that we cannot make the heart satisfied while we are only accumulating drops and drops of satisfaction within this world. So our hearts are compared to an ocean, and Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna is an ocean of happiness. But we have divorced ourselves from Krishna a long, long time ago, to the point whereby we cannot really imagine Krishna fulfilling our hearts with happiness. So today's topic is surrender in Bhakti, or Bhakti means surrender. Living entities have a serious problem of not wanting to surrender. Not only to Krishna, but we've got governments in this world who are struggling to get people to surrender to the constitution of the country. Prisons are getting filled up, and places where mental illnesses are solved, those places are becoming packed up every day because living entities find it difficult to surrender. So it is a very nice verse from the Bhagavad Gita. This verse will be like our talk for today will revolve around this verse. Yeya tamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajami aham mama vart manu vartante manusya parata sarvasaha. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respect, O son of Prita. So this goes to show that we can never choose to not be controlled by Krishna. But what we can do, we can choose how Krishna controls us. Krishna himself says, within this material world, there's only two things, spirit and matter. Now, if we neglect to understand the soul, which means automatically then we find ourselves trapped within matter. We can never choose not to be controlled by Krishna, but we can choose how we want Krishna to control us. But Krishna to look towards him. Eternally, we are eternal. Krishna is eternal, and we are eternally part and parcel of Krishna. We don't belong within this material world. All the scriptures of the popular religions of the world, they are teaching the same thing. We are not of this world. And it behooves an intelligent person to wonder, if I'm not of this world, then where do I belong? We sometimes hear that the age of Kali is an age of darkness. Else, aside of Krishna, is darkness. So the age of Kali is darkness, is characterized as an age of darkness because people are more lazy to inquire or to surrender or to hand themselves over to Krishna. Because of Krishna's loving, Krishna is patient with us. We are eternal, we don't die when the body dies. But there's this collective laziness that forms part of the age of Kali, that the human beings within the age of Kali, Srila Prabhupada explains that we are short-lived, we are lazy, and we are most unfortunate. So the living entities who are taking birth in the age of Kali, they are born unfortunate already. Just by taking birth in the age of Kali, you are just automatically unfortunate. As all surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. Also, we can imagine Krishna rewarding me accordingly. It means if I surrender to Krishna 10%, if I give Krishna 15% of my heart, of my surrender, Krishna gives 15%. Krishna is very fair with us. But the thing is, we are not fair with ourselves. Krishna is fair with us. He's saying,
there we go.
Krishna is saying, if you surrender unto me, I give you something. If you give yourself to Krishna, maybe let's say you are so busy, you can't really give much. Krishna can only give you 10%. Krishna also, we can only understand Krishna up to that degree where we are able to give ourselves to Krishna. There's a very nice question within the Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna is asking Krishna, Krishna, my dear Lord, what happens to a Bhakti yogi who fails, who doesn't reach the destination? In other words, Bhakti has to lead us back home, back to God. So Arjuna's question is that what happens to those that fail? Like we know, grade 12s, when they fail, they have to do it again. At college also, when you fail, you have to repeat and then end up studying for many, many years for a course that you would have otherwise completed in 3 years, you end up spending 5 years. So Krishna also answers Arjuna in the same way. He's saying, my dear Arjuna, those who fail, they have to take birth again. So we are in this world automatically, most obviously. It means we failed. We failed again and again. And now we are again in a human body. And being in a human body again, we fail to understand the value of Krishna and the value of all my desires within this world. Our desires do not really have much value in comparison to Krishna. There's another question within the Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna wants to know from Krishna, Krishna, my dear Lord, how can one know you? And Krishna responds by saying, oh Arjuna, it is not possible. With the spark of my splendor, I pervade the whole universe, a spark of my splendor. Now we are busy, all of us unlimited living entities, we are busy trying to juggle around Krishna's spark of splendor and neglecting Krishna's ocean of happiness and peace. So that is our problem. Surrender to Krishna is the most difficult. Why don't we surrender? We cannot tell. Srila Prabhupada explains that we've been taking birth within this world so repeatedly that the thought of surrender becomes painful. We start to imagine this world to be reality and Krishna's world to be imagination. As much as people feel like, no, there's no soul, I am soul, I am the body, I am this thing. The same thing applies. We want to take this world to be all in all and Krishna's world to be imaginary. Most people go to church, go to a place of worship, go to a temple just so they can feel peaceful. Not that they want to give themselves. But the acharyas are teaching that Once we understand Krishna fully, honestly, once we understand Krishna, we can't help but give ourselves. Once Krishna is understood, we give ourselves to Krishna. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. If you give yourself to Krishna 100%, Krishna gives himself to you in accordance. So then, what is the reward Krishna is talking about? That reward is knowledge, knowledge of the self. There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text number 10. Tesham shatata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadam to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with, I give the understanding by which I'm we talked about faith. Things of this, all our possessions. There's a biblical verse which says, it goes like this: what profiteth a man if he can gain the whole world and loses knowledge of himself? In other words, what profit is there for us to accumulate, to desire that and that, and neglect the knowledge of self? What profit is there? There's no profit, because whatever we achieve within this world is going to end with the end of the world. So why waste time? Why don't we just give ourselves to Krishna? There's another verse, Tesham evanu kamparatam aham agyana jamtama nasayami atma bhavasto gyana dipena baswata. Krishna says to show them special mercy, I dwelling within their hearts, I destroy darkness. So the special mercy Krishna is talking about is the mercy of knowledge, to know ourselves in relationship with Krishna. Now we don't know ourselves in relationship with Krishna, we know ourselves in relationship with Krishna's material energy. My culture, my father, my mother, my country, my this. We know ourselves in relationship with the material, not in relationship with Krishna. Krishna says, as they surrender unto me, I dwelling within their hearts, I remove the darkness. And what's this darkness? We put more emphasis, we put more value on matter. We have seen, how many times have we been to funerals? Many people have left. They are going today, they'll be going tomorrow. But still our heart is there, matter. This is mine, I have to take care of it. This is mine, this is yours, this is mine. When I was growing up, I would read these other magazines, and then at the back of this magazine, people would send their, their hobby, when I'm free, I play soccer, I watch a movie, and I go to church. So then this remedy that's taking us back to God. We take it as a hobby. I do it when I'm free. That goes to show that we put more value on material. We do spiritual life when we are free. We want to feed the soul every soul. We make them aware that, look, if you truly know that you are not this body or soul, you will most definitely make time every day to feed yourself. Are you aware that every day you are feeding the body and not yourself? Are you aware that you are feeding that which you call mind, my body? That's all you do, feed the body. What about you, yourself? Now, our surrender to Lord Krishna will result in Lord Krishna giving us special mercy. We lack the special mercy because, according to Krishna, we have not yet surrendered to Krishna. And Bhakti means to surrender. Srila Prabhupada suggested that chant 16 rounds. The whole idea was that from this 16 rounds, maybe chant 22, 25, 32, 64. There was the whole plan. But now what's happening? We are not even able to chant 16 rounds. Our situation is very very painful. Of course, from the higher perspective, what the souls are going through in this world is very painful to see. It's painful to see human beings struggling to understand the difference between the body and the soul. And it's amazing that even those that have come in contact with spiritual science like this from the Bhagavad Gita, even those who have come in contact, they can't fully hand themselves over. Like your father, your rich father goes looking for you, but you can't give yourself, Father, I'm here, take me back home. So that's what's going on in our life. We are failing to understand Krishna reading. We still fail to hand ourselves over to Krishna. We still feel like there's something for me in this world. Now, there's a very nice story of a man of God. This man of God, he was a preacher like most of us. And then back in the days when he would pray for Krishna, Krishna appears. Either Krishna or a demigod. But back in the days, just pray and then somebody shows up. So this man of God was praying to Lord Vishnu that, my dear Lord, I want to build a temple. I really want to build a temple for you. How can I get these people involved? How can I get them to donate, to give them their money? Lord Krishna said, fine, visit each and every household. Tell them that whoever gives a small donation, no matter how much, but whoever gives a donation, tell them that the reward, they must come back home as a reward. The preacher was happy. He thought material life is troublesome. Yes, I'm going to become such a famous person, taking people back home, back to God immediately. He was very grateful. He said, my dear Lord, thank you for that. I promise you, I'll build you a temple in the shortest time. Then he went knocking house to house. People were eager to give donation, but the thought of going back to God was so much troublesome. As soon as they reach for their wallets and hand over some coins, then the man of God said, but my dear sir, as you are giving this donation, your reward is that you have to go back home right now. Nobody agreed to this proposal. He went house to house presenting the same proposal. We are trying to raise money for the temple. Please, whatever you give, you qualify to go back home right now. Nobody agreed to this proposal. He was disappointed. And then one day again, he prayed to Lord Krishna, and then Lord Krishna appeared, Lord Vishnu, he appeared. And he gave his the feedback to the Lord, that my dear Lord, I've been to these houses, none of them wants to come back to you. And Lord Vishnu said, okay, you come. The man said, no, I'm not ready. I want to build a temple for you, and I'm not ready for you. So it goes to show that we can be preaching about Krishna. We are chanting every day, but the whole idea is that we are fully surrendered. If Krishna shows up at the door and says, let's go, Khosi, let's go. What will Khosi say? Tell my mother, tell my father, come back next time. Come back tomorrow, and something like that. So we are not ready. So even within our hearts, it's not like when we are chanting every day. We are fully surrendered. Yeah, because the same thing can happen to us. Krishna will appear, in our dreams, or he will just show up at our house and say, I'm here to get you. How ready are we? So to reach that state of readiness, it's not easy. But with the 16 rounds of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day, Srila Prabhupada had hoped that by so doing, we will ultimately become detached from matter and become fully absorbed in Krishna to the point whereby we just want to go back to Krishna. So this daily chanting is very important. Yeah, sometimes we don't do it. We cannot do it because we've got so many other things to do. Sometimes the environment doesn't allow us to do it. But Krishna is waiting, and the result of that is that we are busy sending an application to God, and we are indirectly saying, my dear Lord, I want to take birth again. Unknowingly, as much as we entered the womb of this African mother unknowingly, I mean, maybe I wouldn't have chosen the body of an African mother. Maybe, but as much as the laws of nature pushed me in the womb of the mother, similarly, the same thing will happen. If I'm neglecting to chant my rounds every day, I'm indirectly, in a very subtle way, my dear Lord, I'm so busy in this world. I'm so busy. Please give me a chance. So there's a saying, the body is a biological expression of our delusion. This body. And this is supported by a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text number 6. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam teaja ti ante kalevaram, tam tam evaiti kaunteya sadatat bava babita. Whatever a state of being one remembers when he quits the body, that state he will achieve. So this means the type of body that we have now is as a result of our past thoughts in the previous life. So this body is a biological expression of our delusion, our forgetfulness. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, forgetfulness comes from me. And Krishna himself can remove this forgetfulness. Forgetfulness comes from Krishna. Remembrance also comes from Krishna. So whatever state of being we are cultivating on a day-to-day basis, that state of being we will achieve without fail. The government can look for you. You can go hiding under the building, under the bridge. But with Krishna, there's nowhere to go. We see how many men of God, have been in the police are looking for them. Even the policemen will soon be knocking at Mr. Ramaphosa's door to arrest him. So within this world, the laws of the government, we can try to escape. But Krishna's laws are different. Our failure to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on a day-to-day basis, we're indirectly appealing to Krishna. Krishna, my dear Lord, I've got so much work to do in this world. I'm not able to chant because I've got so much responsibility. Please keep me here. Because everything comes from Krishna. Within the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 4 and 5, there's a very nice verse. Budir Gyanam Asamohak Shama Syatam Damasama Sukham Dukam Bhavabu Bayam Chabayam Evacha. Ahimsa Samadha Kustis Tapo Danam Yasuya Sabavanti Bhavabutanam Mata Evaspritakudaha. Krishna says intelligence, knowledge, freedom from illusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness, distress, birth, death, fear, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, anger, happiness. Krishna says all these qualities in human beings, they come from me. So whatever qualities of a human being I have, they come from Krishna. And only Krishna can adjust them. Forgetfulness comes from Krishna. I can worship Krishna in such a way that I can remember my eternal identity, or at least I can remember that I'm not this body, I'm the soul. Once I remember that, it becomes easier for me to ensure that I feed me on a day-to-day basis. I don't feel hungry because I'm satisfied that I have fed my body. So my body, or the byproduct of my body, becomes my priority. If those things are taken care of, I feel some sort of illusory satisfaction. But what about me? I am none of these things. I am not my mother, I'm not my father, I'm not my house. Why cleaning the house, keeping it clean is making me happy? Is this happiness true? Why if I take my car to be washed, why do I feel happy? Is that happiness true? Is that the type of happiness which I'm looking? When I get my diploma, my degree, why am I happy? Is that happiness for the soul? No, it's some type of satisfaction that my material life is moving in the right direction. That's the whole idea. That's the whole idea. So the souls within this world, influenced by the age of Kali, they put more value on things of this world. The biblical verse we quoted earlier, what profiteth a man? If somebody knocks at your door and hand over an envelope to you and say, Khosi, this world belongs to you, according to the biblical verse, it's useless. You might as well say, get out of here with your work. I'm busy doing meditation. Get out of here. But now, the leadership of today, they are so much absorbed in trying to conquer this world. And according to the scripture, they are doing a useless work, because as soon as they leave this body, the game is over. Now, we are part of this wonderful movement, Krishna consciousness. We could say that we are the chosen. So this means we have to ourselves examine ourselves. Now that within my community, I'm the one who has got this. Am I going to keep it in my cupboard and join everybody else and act like I'm also, or am I going to kind of be a distributor? To distribute is so nice that you are distributing and your boss is Krishna. Krishna is my boss. You know, we are sending application for employment everywhere, but Krishna is saying, hey, work for me. Work for me. I'm here. Come work for me. We are not. Why? Forgetfulness. We forget our real master. We are choosing masters of this world who are stealing money from other masters. And we want to be like subordinate to them. And from Krishna's perspective, the wealth of this world is not substantial. It will not make us happy. The poet Kanagya Pandit, as we mentioned earlier, the heart is like an ocean. The happiness of your spouse brings a drop. So the happiness of achieving something is like a drop in the drop-in. The happiness of calling, the happiness of extending your house and getting your diploma is like another drop in. Are we satisfied with these drops of happiness? Srila Prabhupada says, yes, there's that feeling of satisfaction because we have been within this material world for so long. For so long that if somebody says, have you heard of an ocean of happiness? It's difficult for us to comprehend. An ocean. I'm absorbed in drops. Success means how many drops of happiness you get. If you are a celebrity, of course, you can, in one day, you can bring many, many drops of happiness to her, but tomorrow is gone. But the hope, the understanding that I can keep doing it, also, it gives some sense of security. I can always do it. I've got money, I've got house, I've got a car, I've got so many things. I can always get the drops of happiness. And then we are posing, taking pictures and posing, attracting others, making them feel like they are losing out. Without telling them that, no, my dear brother, it's just a drop. Don't waste your time. So material life is like that. It's very painful. It is said by Mahaprabhu himself that when we practice Krishna consciousness, we are going to develop a higher perspective. And then once you have developed the higher perspective, all you will do is cry. Because when the Gita, when Srila Prabhupada talks about, describes this world, or at least when Krishna says this world is a place of misery, it's difficult for us to understand what Krishna is talking about. I haven't seen misery in my house for so long. What is Krishna talking about? But Krishna is viewing things from a higher perspective. And by the chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Krishna is inviting us to also have a higher perspective of things. Once we develop a higher view of things, we start to see that actually it's true. Misery might not be happening within my family situation, but it's happening within this. Living entities are always going through so much trouble. There's birth, disease, old age, and death. It's always happening. There's not a moment, there's no second when these things are not happening. Once we absorb these things and we think about them and we contemplate, all we will do is cry. But because we are also absorbed in our own drops of happiness, we cannot really look behind us. We are looking ahead toward our own drops of happiness. The fight goes on. I want my drop. You've got your drop, I want mine. So knowledge refers to understanding what is spirit and what is matter. Because once you know what is spirit, it becomes easy for you to become rich spiritually. You can't be a man of God and be a millionaire. This men of God are cheating people big time. You cannot have the wealth of the kingdom of God and still have the wealth of this world. You can't have both wealth. So next time you find a man of God who's got a big bank balance, you must know he's a cheater. Spiritual wealth is different. It also needs maintenance. There's a biblical verse that instructs man to praise the Lord from the rising of the sun till sunset. So that's how you maintain your spiritual wealth. Also, Haridas Thakur chanted 23 hours a day. That's how you maintain your spiritual wealth. So how can you become a man of God who can fill up the stadium with other souls and tell them, about God, whereas you yourself are struggling? So that's what we see in the world today, that people are being cheated wholesale. You can't be a man of God and be absorbed in matters. The wealth of this world is troublesome. You can't sleep at night. When you're sleeping, you hear some noise, you want to wake up and protect your wealth. It's troublesome. People who are not possessing much wealth of this world, they live a very peaceful life. They've got no depression, they're living a peaceful life. And the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it's a means to remove us from fear. Because fear is caused by all my assets which are connected to my body. A house is my body, motor car is for body, my children comes from my body, my position is for my body. So all those things, they create a lot of fear in my heart because there's a chance that I can lose them. There's a chance that somebody can come and take them. So ordinary knowledge obtained from university education is not complete. There's a song by Bhakti where he's lamenting that, this knowledge, varsity college, it's so poisonous. The more you get, the more puffed up you become. Yeah, so this Bhakti is beautiful. And if it is practiced nicely with sincerity, it can help us to surrender. We have not surrendered. Surrender is painful in the beginning. Family members will give you up. Friends will give you up. You might lose complexion. You might lose some of your clothes. You might end up having to wear maybe orange, But surrender is difficult. Hence, since Prabhupada left this world, you can calculate how many people surrendered themselves. Surrender is difficult. And all the scriptures are urging people to surrender. But how many people have surrendered? So there's also a very beautiful story to illustrate this surrender process, that it's so difficult that no matter what examples, how much teachings one is getting, still surrender is the most difficult thing for him. Now, there was a man. This man was a rich man, he was a businessman, but he was very old. Spiritual sense in this man's life. But then the man was so, he was like so stubborn. They had to take him to a crematorium. If you've been to India, you might have come across places which are called ghats. So a ghat is a crematorium. Just within the community, there's a portion within the community, mainly next to a holy place like the Ganges, Yamuna. There's a ghat where they cremate, they burn human body, they cremate. So the family of this man decided to help our father become completely detached from matter because he's very old. They decided to take him to this place. But because he was such a hardcore businessman, when he arrived at this place, instead of seeing bodies being burned, all he could see was business. He thought, these people, they need so much wood, I will supply them. So he missed the point. They wanted him to see that the body will end here and the soul has to go somewhere. And one has to prepare the soul's destination after the demise of the body. But he didn't see that. All that he could see was business. That he wanted to become the supplier of wood in a place where bodies are cremated. Bogaiswarya prasaktanam taya paritashatasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhona vidyate. The Bhagavad Gita verse, chapter 2, text number 44 says, in the minds of those who are too attached to material enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to Krishna does not take place. So what this verse is saying is that sense enjoyment and material opulence, they are bewildering. They bewilder the mind, and they can steal the intelligence of those people who are very intelligent. They can steal their intelligence. And surrender means devotion to Krishna. Like we mentioned earlier, opulence of this world, it needs to be maintained. You can't just be opulent in this world without maintaining your opulence. Sense enjoyment means hard work. Sometimes when we fast, we don't eat, so we don't go to the toilet. But when you eat, you have to again and again go to the toilet. So this goes to show that the body If you expose your body to sense enjoyment, the body will also expose it to its labor. Labor. My body is giving me so much. People are going out jogging and doing all kinds of things because somehow they've gained weight. Somebody wants that, somebody wants that. So the body is just hard work. So Bhakti means surrender. Bhakti means to surrender. Srila Prabhupada gave us 16 rounds with hopes that this 16 rounds will help us to surrender. Now, our inability to attentively do our sadhana is as a result of too much absorption in material activities. We associate with people who are absorbed in these activities. I might not be involved, but as we are interacting with different people every day, we are somehow taking a bit of their energy, a bit of that, social media, sports, movies, and family members, relatives, work environment, all these kind of places, they've got a type of energy which kind of gets wrapped off onto us. And we wonder why we are struggling to do our sadhana. So Bhakti means surrender. But also Bhakti means avoiding things that are taking away our opportunity to surrender to Krishna. I know for many it's difficult, but Krishna is not going to minimize our difficulty. We have to present our difficulties to Krishna. My dear Lord, I want to surrender. When we go out for book distribution, I sometimes joke with people that this prayer of asking for bread, come on, brother, advance your prayer, ask for knowledge. Then I tell them, the only thing that God has in abundance is knowledge, because people never pray for knowledge. Everyone, my dear Lord, give us bread. And after asking for bread, they tell God what to do. Do this for me. My brother is traveling tomorrow. Please go with him. My mother is sick. Heal my mother. They're telling God what to do. And I tell them that God, if you really understand God, that God knows past, present, and future, you wouldn't be telling God what to do. So the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is a prayer wherein a sincere devotee is appealing to God, my dear Lord, please engage me in your service. Because a Bhakti yogi knows that Krishna knows everything. So a Bhakti yogi will not waste his time telling God what to do. Instead, a Bhakti yogi will present himself to Krishna, my dear Lord, please engage me in your service. This is surrender. So Bhakti yoga means surrender. My dear Lord, please help me to surrender. But of course, I can be chanting with some motive behind, and Krishna can see. But if my chanting is to surrender, Krishna can see that. If I'm chanting because I wholeheartedly want to give myself to Krishna, Krishna can see that, and Krishna can make a right. Srila Prabhupada, when he started this movement, he was running a business, he was within a family environment. Now Krishna favored him. He removed those things. Within a family situation, things were not going well. He understood that to be Krishna's mercy. Even for his business, things were not going well. He understood that also that is Krishna's mercy. Now, when things don't go well in our life, we can spend 10 years trying to fix them without just giving them up. That's our problem. We can't see the hand of Krishna in our life. Even if Krishna comes and pulls us out, we want to go back inside. Krishna pulls me out, I want to go back inside. So that's our problem. So Bhakti means to surrender. And I pray to the Lord that we can all surrender. So with that much being said, I would like to hear from you, Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much for your class. If anyone has a question, we have 15 minutes allocated for Prabhu. You can please ask the question, but while people are thinking, I'd like to make a comment and ask a question. Is that okay, Prabhu?
That's good. Yes.
So first, I remember I was just thinking about, when I first met you and we had discussed about the soul, and because I had come saying that, the Buddhists, they don't speak about the soul. And you had made the example that, well, whether fire burns or not, it will still burn you. So hence you're explaining that the soul is within the body, and whether we acknowledge its presence or not, it is still there. And then afterwards, Sabyasachi Das Prabhu was coming over, and then you had showed me a big billboard that you had made for him, saying, "Welcome back home." And I was just so amazed that who would do this? What type of normal person would do this? It doesn't make sense. Even at the time I was in a relationship and I was thinking, I wouldn't even do this for my own girlfriend. But here's this gentleman, he's doing it for his friend. What type of love is this? And I really saw a different depth of love and, just appreciation for another person, and not only throughout when you showed me that, but also throughout your activities with Sabyasachi. And, you gave me books, you gave me prasadam. You always used to tell me that, no, you must come and take some prasadam home. You gave me the chanting busy. You always used to encourage me, So, and till this day, I'm still baffled by that amount of love that you're always giving everyone, and I realized that you have so much love because you are connected to the source of love. You're connected to Krishna. So in that way, you are able to always, just pour it and give it and give us and give us. It's very easy for you.
The problem is that, Bhakti Yoga will actually be the most beautiful thing if all of us would participate in this process wholeheartedly. So then, like, for example, South Africa, we have met so many people in the past. They've taken to this process. Now they are not to be found anywhere anymore. So that's the painful situation of the age of Kali, that even such a nice and beautiful program doesn't get the platform that it should be getting. It's a big problem that we are facing. And as a result of that, we practitioners also become affected directly, because we need to associate with a whole lot of people who have taken this thing with all their life. Now, whenever we look around, we see beginners in this process. Somebody's beginning, those who began a year or 2 years ago, they are nowhere to be found. If dealing with people who've just 1 month, 6 months in a movement, 2 months, 3 months. So there's really not enough motivation coming from the people that we are preaching to. So it's very encouraging to hear that you are here and you're still experiencing the mercy of God. But at least I've been part of this movement for so long. I've explained this knowledge to so many people, but they are nowhere to be found. It's a very painful situation. I see Bongisi Puruthambo.
Yes. I would just like to mention, probably, that after the questions, could you just please wait for the announcements and give us some closing words? And then everyone else could also just please wait for that. Bongisipo, probably you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, so Bongisipo is still
Hare
trying
Krishna,
to
can you
get...
hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, I can hear you.
My network. Oh, okay, Prabhu. Thank you for that powerful, potent, insightful lecture, Prabhu. It was really saturated with Bhakti. So my question is, with regard to observing Ekadashi, how does it help one to in the process of surrender?
Well, yeah, thank you for the question. So then Ekadashi is glorified by Vaishnavas, and Ekadashi is important because when we get a time to discipline the body or to train the body or to remind ourselves of this body ID that we have. In other words, Ekadashi is like a once-off reminder that the body and me are different. So on days of Ekadashi, Srila Prabhupada and all the other stalwart devotees, they encourage that when it's Ekadashi, we have to delve deeper in our practice of Krishna consciousness. Now, Ekadashi on its own cannot be understood on its own as Ekadashi, but what happens during Ekadashi is what really matters. So what I'm trying to say here is that since we are in a culture which recognizes that the body is a covering of the soul, so what this means is that at least once in a while, we train the senses, we discipline the tongue, we discipline our sense of touching, seeing, hearing, and tasting. At least on that particular day, we slow down on bodily activities and allow the spirit to delve deeper in our practice of Krishna consciousness. So like recently we had Nirjala Ekadashi. So that Ekadashi is observed by complete restraint from anything that goes to the body. Water, eating, nothing, even like nothing. Of course, it's the most difficult Ekadashi, but I know that there are many people who are able to do it. And a whole lot of other people would opt for taking the normal Ekadashi stuff. But Ekadashi days are important for our devotion to Krishna because that's the time when we get to kind of slow down on our sense gratificatory activities. So that's one help that we can get from Ekadashi, to slow down on bodily engagement in terms of, especially the tongue, we slow down. Yeah, so that's my little bit of contribution to that.
Oh, that helps out a lot, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. Gokula Devidasi, are you there? Hare Krishna. Bhaktas Piwe. Okay, so now this process of surrender to Krishna is actually for our own benefit. And it's not like we surrender because Krishna wants something from our surrender. We surrender because we want to be happy. Surrendering is for our own benefit. It's for our own benefit. It's for our own peace of mind. It's for our own advancement in spiritual progress. That's surrender. It's not that I'm surrendering because Krishna will be happy from my surrender. No, of course, in the process, Krishna wants us to surrender, but Krishna is loving us so much that he's not going to force us to. It must be a voluntary problem. That's the only problem. You see, within this material world, you go to school and then you go through all the discipline of having to study, having to submit your assignments, having to spend sleepless nights because you know the end result. You've seen people who have graduated and you want to be like them. You get some work prospects. You want a promotion. You are dealing with things that you can see with your eyes. But in terms of Krishna and surrender, it's difficult because you've forgotten what it means to surrender. And you've forgotten the results of having surrender. You forgot it. All that we remember is surrender in terms of material surrender. If I surrender to this university, I'll get a degree. That much we know. But surrender to Krishna and the results that come with that we forgot. That's why it's difficult. And that's why we've got so much doubt even to do it. We doubt. And then as soon as the slightest thing happens in our life, the first thing we do is to put our big bag aside. I mean, it's almost like putting yourself aside, putting food for yourself aside and maintaining the body. So the body is not really, the body is like very stupid. You keep feeding it, but it's going to let you down. The body is disturbing. I sometimes tell people that they shouldn't be fooled by the body. There are places which we can visit as human beings. Like, for example, back in the days before I joined the movement, I would go to the hospital. It's refreshing spiritually to see people in the hospital struggling with their body. If we get in the habit of going to a hospital and to mix with people with bodily ailments, that can somehow sober us. We can somehow become sober and, slow down a little bit. Then also I did a bit of yoga at old age home. At that old age, Once a month, I would hear that somebody has left. The next month again, they would tell me that grandfather he's gone. That mother is gone. Even the graveyard, the hospital, and the old age home. Those places are very nice for, people who want to remain sober-minded within this world. Those places are the best for, I see some questions. The hand is up.
Okule David, please can you unmute yourself?
Krishna Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful class. Can you explain how surrender is connected to reincarnation?
Okay. Then reincarnation, surrender. Well, if we don't surrender, then we are going to reincarnate. So because of the lack of surrender to Krishna, we keep taking birth again and again. So Krishna himself is saying that when we feel like he's telling Arjuna that those who don't make it out of this world, they will take birth again. So this means that the lack of surrender that we see happening within Vaishnava community, other communities, that lack of surrender is the reason why we keep taking birth again. So we enter the womb of the mother because we fail to give ourselves to Krishna. Bhagavad Gita chapter 8 text 5, Krishna says, if at the time of death I don't remember Krishna, I must reincarnate. But if at the time of death I remember Krishna, then I go to Krishna. So surrender is our way out, is our key out of this cycle of birth and death within this world. Yeah, so without surrender, Mataji, then we are gonna take birth again and start again chanting, and material life is becoming more and more difficult. Things are becoming more and more difficult, especially for devotees. There's a prophecy in the Bhagavatam that it's gonna become so difficult in future to become Bhakti yogis that some yogis will be finding it better to go to the forest. So there will be no temples in the cities and townships. Those who are serious about Bhakti, they'll have to move to the forest. Yeah, so that's what I can say about surrender. Without it, we are exposing ourselves to possibilities of reincarnation. Hare Krishna. So there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita we mentioned earlier, aparatamitas tvanyam prakritim vidime param. Krishna says, the living entities within this world, they are my eternal past and parcel. But because of ignorance, they are exploiting the resources of material nature. So we are exploiting, we exploit because material nature can't satisfy us. So the best way forward is to exploit. We can't just deal with matter in a very sober way. Because of the heart being a desert, we have to exploit to get more drops quickly. So that's exploiting. But if the heart is soaked in bhakti, devotion, at least the heart will be half full. And then we won't need to become absorbed so much in material affairs. So the heart is a desert, Krishna is an ocean. Surrender means a solution to getting the heart always moistened by Krishna's presence within our heart and within our life. Hare Krishna. Bhakta Spiwe.
Can I meet yourself, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such wonderful insights. As you were talking now, something just came to my mind, and I was just thinking about this process of surrender, and I have a question, regarding that. So the question is, would it be possible for us to achieve surrender, but at the same time have a normal day job, be absorbed in material life, or the two will always be mutually exclusive? Will we get to a point where both of these, work together in harmony, or will they always be separate? So that's my
Well,
question. You know, can there ever be a harmonious relationship between the two entities?
well, harmonizing the two is possible, but ultimately one of them has to suffer. When Srila Prabhupada talked about chanting 16 rounds every day, the whole idea was for us to kind of become absorbed on matters of the spirit. And when that absorption intensifies and starts to fructify and grows, naturally your material life will suffer a little bit. So when that suffering comes, if you are reading the scriptures regularly, when the suffering means the lack of interest to go out or, going out partying and socializing and going out to the cinema and hanging out with people doing nothing. So the harmony can be there, but now in this instance, the living entity will not be depending on those activities for happiness. You will only be doing it as a matter of duty. Let's say, for example, you are married, you've got a business, you've got a partner within your life. So this means that will still, maintenance of your family and social life will go on. But you will not be hoping to get happiness from these activities. Bhakti will already have covered your heart with satisfaction and happiness. Now, your material engagement will only be as a matter of duty, not as a matter of, I want to be happy from doing this. Yeah, so the harmony can be there, but material life will not actually necessarily make us happy. If we are devotees, we will somehow have an understanding that matter is not for making me happy, but there's a matter of duty, producing kids that can, take over this movement and push it on. Then that becomes like service for people, take care of their children. And maintaining children means getting a job, going to the office, something like that. So yes, harmony can be there, but ultimately one has to pull himself out. Like this Vedic culture is so nice that there's when a man or at least a woman gets to like 50, 55 years old, they must withdraw themselves completely from material activities. They must withdraw. So at that time now, one cannot be trying to harmonize the two. One has to withdraw from those activities and cultivate spiritual consciousness. So yes, in the beginning, at your age, harmony should be there. But later on, then one must completely withdraw from material activities and become fully absorbed. I remember the pastimes of Maharaj Bhakti Swami. When he was very, very ill, just about to leave this world, maybe months before departure from this world. Then he mentioned to everyone that from that day onwards, he's not Bhakti Tirtha, he's not Guru, he's not this, he's not that. Now I'm a spirit soul. So by the regular chanting of 16 rounds, we come to a platform of real understanding. I am spirit soul, and taking care of matters of this world is not my eternal business. I have to withdraw from this world and become absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Yes, at this stage in time, you can try to balance and also pray to Krishna for knowledge on how you can consistently keep the balance. Because without Krishna's mercy, we kind of drift away and now become forgetful of our serious engagement, Krishna consciousness. Yeah.